Now, the screening of breast cancer, primarily there are certain protocols that have to be considered to screen whether a lady is at or is having a breast cancer or not. So for that, there are certain protocols of various investigations to be followed at a specific age group and for a specific period of time. So what are these? The first and foremost important thing is self-examination, that is a self-breast examination. So according to the given protocol, self-breast examination should be carried out after the age of 20 years, and this has to be carried out monthly. Then you have clinical examination, and clinical examination has to be carried out after the age of 25 years, and this has to be carried out yearly. Then you have mammogram, that is a mammography. This mammography should be carried out at the age of 40 years. Okay, why it is so, we will discuss it in the upcoming sessions, that what is mammogram, why it is after 40 years. Okay, so after 40 years you are going to carry out mammogram, and this has to be annually again. So this is again yearly, and this has to be done till 75 years. After 75 years, there is no need of screening of breast cancer, because a 75 and old year lady is at a very, very low risk of developing breast cancer, or is not going to develop breast cancer possibly. Then you have a fourth investigation, that is MRI, and MRI should be carried out at the age of 25 years, and this has to be done again yearly. So if you see, something which is done yearly is everything except self-breast examination, which has to be carried out monthly. Okay, then we have next point, that is what is evaluation. Yes, what is evaluation? So evaluation of breast cancer, that means a patient has come to me with possibly a lump in the breast, and so now what protocols or what things or what steps have to be carried out in this patient. So what is evaluation of breast cancer? Okay, or simply I can say breast lump. Okay, a simple breast lump, how to evaluate. So there is something called as triple assessment. Okay, this is very, very important question. What is triple assessment? What things come under triple assessment? Okay, so what things come under triple assessment? Triple assessment definitely have three things. The first thing that comes under triple assessment is self and clinical breast examination. So definitely an examination part is going to be very, very important. Breast examination is very, very important. Then you have imaging. Imaging means, I mean, a radiological investigation. A radiological investigation. And third is pathological investigation. Now, this pathological investigation includes two things. It includes two things. One is FNAC, that is a fine needle aspiration cytology, and another is biopsy. And remember, biopsy is the one which is always, always, always preferred. We'll definitely have a look at what are these and what these actually constitute to. Then coming at the imaging or the radiology includes, as usual, it includes mammogram, it includes ultrasound, that is a sonography, and finally it includes MRI. There are certain other modalities such as PET scan, etc., but these are not routinely done unless and until it is a very invasive or a terminal stage disease. Unless and until that, we usually don't do a PET scan. Okay, so now let's study each stepwise. So in this video now, we are going to primarily focus on self-breast examination and the one imaging modality, that is ultrasound. In the next video, we will discuss about mammogram and MRI along with some aspects of pathology, that is FNAC and biopsy. Okay, so let's have a look at self breast examination. So this talks about self as well as clinical. So this basically talks about breast examination. So now what are the different methods? Okay, so we are going to now study the methods of breast examination. What are the methods of doing a breast examination? So there are basically three methods that you can see over here. There is fourth method as well, which is now used most commonly. Okay, now what are these four methods? The first method which we use, that is called as the vertical method. That is called as the vertical method. You can see here, this is a vertical method. That means you will start from the lateral aspect. Basically, very important, your hand. You are palpating with the hand over the breast. You have to palpate with your fingers. It should not be the pulp of the fingers. It should not be the base or the palm. It has to be the middle phalanges, or basically the entire finger should be used to palpate the breast like this. It should not be like this. It should not be with the palm. Suppose this is a breast and you are palpating like this. This is a wrong method. You are palpating with the pulp of the finger. This is also a wrong method. The correct method is to palpate with the help of the entire fingers, and it has to be round and round palpation. So how it is done? If you are using if you are using a medial most point and you are going down and again coming up again, then from the opposite side you are coming down. So it is something like this. You are starting your breast examination at this point. You will palpate like this and again go up from here. From up you will come down. From down you will come up. This method is called the vertical method of breast palpation. Okay, the second method you have is the radial method. In the radial method, as you can see over here, this is the breast and you are palpating from the nipple areola complex radially. This is your radial method of breast palpation. And the third is the spiral method that you can definitely identify. A spiral method is, that means from the center, centripetally, you will palpate the breast. That means it is something like this. This is the breast and you are palpating from the central centripetally. This method is called the spiral method of breast palpation. And a fourth method, which is nowadays used a lot, is a clockwise method. Is a clockwise or clock R method. Okay, in which, suppose this is a breast, you will start palpating each clockwise, means from center you will palpate at 1 o'clock, then you will palpate at 2 o'clock. This is very important to localize. So this helps to localize the lesion. Okay, this helps to localize the lesion, and that's why this is now the most common method of breast examination. Okay, that was about the basic types about breast examination. Now coming to the radiology. So at the radiological methods, so radiology, when you talk about the radiology, the first important one that is for sure ultrasound. Okay. Now here lower down, you have this image which is showing ultrasound. So now you can identify this is a normal image. You can see this fatty tissue in between. This white areas are all fatty tissues. This is the muscle layer behind. This is the muscle layer behind. And you can see these small ducts in between. You can see the small ducts in between, but nothing else is there. Now, please understand that MRI is considered to be one of the modalities, your ultrasound, sorry, ultrasound is considered to be one of the modalities which has to be done in pregnant and young females. Okay, so where you do an ultrasound, you basically do an ultrasound in young females and in pregnant females. Now, why in young females ultrasound is preferred? In young females, ultrasound is preferred because young breast is very, very dense, because it is a very high peak at the influence of estrogen. So that's why in young females, since the breast is very, very dense, it cannot be catched with a good background under mammograph, because mammograph is simply an X-ray. You cannot identify this any lump or any tissue or breast against a good background when you are doing a mammogram. In ultrasound, since it's based on the ecosities which pass and reflect, a young breast, which is in spite of being dense, can easily be identified and the lesions can be identified in an ultrasound. And why in the pregnant lady? Because MRI as well as the X-ray, that is mammogram, has a very high risk of having radiation exposure, and which is very, very risky in a pregnant female. And that's why in a pregnant female, ultrasound is considered as a very important modality. Now, what are the findings? What are the findings suggestive of benign, and what are the findings suggestive of malignant? So please write down few points. Benign, a benign lump will be suggested by regular, it is cystic, it is regular. You can see that it is quite regular. Yes. Then it is cystic, nothing solid, everything is black, means it is filled either with fluid or some liquid, might be blood, might be some discharge or something, but it is purely cystic. Then then it has regular ecosities. That means there is no any difference in ecosities, it is continuously homogeneous. That means it is continuously homogeneous, right? Through and through it is black, you can see over here, right? And very very important, it is equal, it is equal, or it is wider, it is wider than tall, it is wider than tall. These all findings are very much suggestive of a benign pathology. Then what are the findings which are suggestive of a malignant pathology? These are exactly opposite of this. It is irregular, this is irregular. Then it is going to be mixed, that means few cystic, few solid. So solid as well as cystic areas are going to be there. Then it is heterogeneous, it is heterogeneous, and very important, taller than wide. Okay, taller and wide, right? It is definitely heterogeneous, because few white areas, few black areas. This is completely heterogeneous and it is completely irregular in shape. V is nothing but it is a high voltage, sorry, it's a high amperage, low voltage, it's a high amperage, low voltage X-ray of the breast. So it's nothing but a X-ray or a simple radiogram which you carry out for the breast. That is what is a mammogram. So as you can see in this specific animation, how actually a mammogram is taken. This is a mammogram machine. The the person who reads or the technician who conducts the mammography is beyond the pair, and you have this machine. This is the board or the stage of the mammogram machine, and this is the superior plastic coated or an synthetic plate which will be brought down according to the adjustment of the size of the breast for the mammography. The patient has to stand on the near the stage of the mammogram, and between this plastic blade and the stage of the mammogram machine, we will almost gently compress the tissue, and then the x-rays will be fired from the above, and then you will get the mammogram. So this is how actually a mammogram is conducted. Now, in a mammogram, there are views. So let's see what are the views of a mammogram. So basically, as you can see, this is one of the examples of a mammogram that I have shown. L means left and R means right, as you can see. So both the breasts are studied, and you get two types of views. So the first type of view which we have is known as craniocaudal view. Craniocaudal view, that is a CC. That means from the above and below, how actually the breast looks like. Means if you see, this is a left craniocaudal view, then this is the superior most angle, this is the inferior most angle. This is how it looks like. And the second type of view which we take during a mammogram is known as an MLO, also known as mediolateral oblique. So these are the two views which we take for a mammogram. One is a mediolateral oblique and another is a craniocaudal view, which is taken for a mammographic study. Now, under for which woman do we take a mammograph? So basically remember, this is an X-ray. So in a young aged individual or a young lady, there will be a dense tissue, and if the tissue is dense, definitely you cannot identify it against this black background. Yes, this black background as well as this white background, it will, these two will act as a contrast for the study of the breast tissue. So since the breast tissue is dense in a younger lady, mammogram is not to be included under the screening as well as investigation patterns for breast cancer. So basically mammogram is basically to be performed in a more than 40 years old lady. So this should be taken in a more than 40 years old lady. Now, coming to how actually a mammographic patterns look like. So this is going to help you to differentiate a benign pathology from a malignant pathology. So we have few images in front of us. You can see on the left side you are having the benign masses, and on the right side you are having malignant masses. So now what is the basic line of difference between the two? Now if we see a benign pathology, it has a low density. You can see the density is relatively low as compared to that of a malignant pathology. So a malignant lesion of the breast will have a high density on mammogram. Then you have the homogeneity. Then a benign lesion is quite homogeneous, whereas a malignant is heterogeneous. It is quite heterogeneous. You can see in this image as well as in this image, you can compare. This tissue is quite homogeneously opaque in benign, whereas this is a malignant lesion. You can find out there are areas of opacity and lucency in between. So this irregular nature of opacities and lucency coming in between, this is heterogeneity, which is a feature suggestive of a lesion being malignant. Then you have something known as calcifications. So macro calcifications, that means a larger calcification is suggestive of a benign pathology, whereas micro calcifications are suggestive of malignant pathology. We will definitely see it further. Furthermore, if you want to look at the skin, okay, the skin over the breast in a benign pathology is normal, whereas in a malignant pathology, it is thick or retracted. It is thick or retracted. So this is how you basically differentiate a benign from a malignant. Definitely these three are going to be the mainstay for differentiating a benign disease from a malignant disease. Now, let's have a look at different patterns of calcification. So now I am showing you micro calcifications. Okay. So you have micro calcifications, you have density, architecture, and boundaries. These are what are actually described when you look at a mammogram. Now, in this specific image that has been given to you, you can see that this is features suggestive of malignancy. Here you can see micro calcifications. See, these are small, tiny calcifications that can be seen over here in this image. Whereas you can see the density is quite heterogeneous. Yeah, this is the lesion which you can see. There is a opacity, and then you have some areas which are lucent in between. So this second feature which is suggestive, okay, so microcalcification, uh, asymmetric density, and architectural distortion. You can see that the basic architecture has been distorted, the shape of the tissue is distorted, and finally it is a mass like boundary. So a mass can be seen with an irregular boundary. So basically presence of microcalcifications, densities which are asymmetric, then an architectural distortion and an abnormal boundary of a mass. These are the four specific, highly specific findings suggestive of malignancy on a mammogram. Then, then let's have a look at different type of calcification. So as I told you, there are micro calcifications and macro calcifications. So now, firstly, you have micro calcifications. That means small calcifications are seen. Micro calcifications can be of different types. Micro calcification can be a grouped, they could be linear, they could be segmental, they could be regional, and they could be diffuse. They could be diffuse. So these are the different type of microcalcifications, and definitely microcalcifications mean cancer. This is suggestive of a malignant disease, right? So here in the this given specific image, you can see this is a diffuse calcification. You can see small white opacities, very micro opacities throughout the breast. This is a diffuse microcalcification. Then you have these specific region of the breast showing microcalcification. This is called regional microcalcification. Then you have a linear. That means you can see that in a single line you have microcalcifications arranged like this. Whereas grouped means like a group. So as we used to study in microbiology, like streptococcus, staphylococcus, similarly like that, in a line, in a chain, if you are having microcalcification, it's a linear microcalcification, and if it is a group, we call it as grouped microcalcification. And here you can see in a specific segment, that means going towards a specific terminal ductal lobular unit, you can see the microcalcification. So these are the different patterns which we see when it comes to microcalcification. Okay, then these are certain specific macrocalcifications that we need to know. Now, when it comes to macrocalcification, definitely it will be suggestive that this is a benign pathology. It is a benign pathology, right? Now, here we have three examples which are classically to be known of. If you look at this, you have calcification which is going up to the nipple areola complex, and you can see this broken needle appearance. This is called a broken needle calcification. This is known as a broken needle macrocalcification. Then here you can see in the second image, it looks exactly like a popcorn, popcorn calcification. So this is also known as this is called as popcorn macrocalcification. Whereas the third image, which has been shown to you, you can see it looks as if it is a cracked eggshell. It looks like a cracked eggshell. This is called eggshell calcification. This is called eggshell macrocalcification. What are the examples? In which condition do you get these? So broken needle calcification occurs because you can definitely understand that this, suppose this is a duct. When this duct undergoes ectasia, that means undergo dilatation, a duct ectasia will cause stasis. There will be inflammation, and when the ducts undergo inflammation, they will heal by sclerosis, and there will be calcium deposition along the ducts. So when there will be calcium deposition along the ducts, that will lead to a broken needle calcification. So broken needle calcification is seen in, it is seen in duct ectasia. It is seen in duct ectasia. Popcorn calcification. Popcorn calcification is seen in a benign condition, which we will discuss later on in a new video, is fibroadenoma. Is fibroadenoma. And eggshell calcification is seen in a condition that occurs after a trauma to the breast. This is seen in a condition known as fat necrosis. That is seen in fat necrosis, a very, very important differential for breast cancer. So this is how a mammography will show you a benign and a malignant lesion. Now, when a mammography is done, the mammography is reported with the help of a system known as BIRADS. By system known as BIRADS. BIRADS is breast imaging reporting and data system. So BIRADS is breast imaging reporting and data system, under which depending upon the observation, it is divided into different categories. What we need to know is what observation will belong to which category. So 0 means that there is no any specific identifiable imaging finding, and so we call it as a 0 category, and you need to do it a new investigation, or you need to repeat for this patient. So nothing but you need to repeat. Now, one means it's a totally negative, a totally normal breast is reported as 1. A benign breast is reported as 2. And what you should do is you should follow for 1 and 2 routine screening protocol. Means, like, for example, if I have a patient whose age is 43 years, she has undergone a mammography, and now her mammography comes as breast imaging reporting and data system BIRADS 2. That means the lesion is probably a benign lesion. So what you should do is you should screen her again and again annually until the age of 75. Otherwise, unless and until any specific symptom which is causing discomfort is occurring, you will not operate. Then you have 3. BIRADS 3 means it is probably benign, means it is neither looking a completely benign one, nor it is going towards uh, a malignant suspicion. So what you do is you follow up for 6 months with mammography again. So now in benign, we were doing an annual mammography, whereas in probably benign, that is BIRADS 3, we will go for 6 months cycle of mammography screening. Then the 4 is suspicious of. So suspicious of means there are few microcalcifications, few macrocalcifications. It is neither fitting into anyone. In such case, you should go for tissue diagnosis, that is true cut biopsy. True cut biopsy. Then you have the 5th one. Score 5 or category 5 is highly suggestive of malignancy. That means that there is a suspicion of more than 95% suspicion of malignancy, and in such case again you will go for true cut biopsy. Whereas 6 is a mammography which has been already proven to be a malignancy, by true cut biopsy somewhere else. So in such case, what we do is that yes, you will come to know from the mammogram that yes, it is a malignant. The history will tell you that true cut biopsy was done. So simply you will go for surgery. You will simply go for surgery. So this is how BIRADS is basically conducted. You observe the breast by a mammogram in the two views, craniocaudal and mediolateral oblique. Identify whether there are specific benign indications, specific malignant indications from the mammograph, and based on that, scoring from 0 to 5. And if there is a history of previous true cut biopsy, then score 6 can play a role in there. And then deport, depending upon the category the patient falls into, the management will differ.